Well-known dancer and choreographer Stephen Twitch Boss was laid to rest in a private funeral last week. His death by suicide in December shocked Hollywood and sparked renewed conversations around Black men's mental health. Here to discuss with us this Mental Health Monday is Dr. Kojo Sarfo. Good morning, Dr. Sarfo. Thanks for talking with us this morning.
Good morning and Happy New Year. Thank you for having me.
Happy New Year. Okay, so it shocked so many people when they heard about this. What was your personal reaction to the news of Twitch Boss's passing?
I remember I got the text from a friend, and I didn't have the words. It was extremely difficult. I know he's a mutual friend of mine on TikTok, and we've shared videos back and forth. And I also felt a little bit of guilt too. You have that feeling. You think to yourself, if there's anything that I could have done, I just really caught all of us off guard. I didn't have the words, to be honest.
Yeah, that thought seems to pass through a lot of our minds when something like this happens. Many people responded to this death with shock because he didn't seem to be struggling. He didn't appear to be struggling. And there was some similar surprise after Prince's overdose in 2016, Chadwick Boseman's death from colon cancer in 2020. Why is it so difficult for Black men to share their challenges?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure where to start. There's so many things that, we're facing. We're dealing with racism. We're dealing with, challenges, financial issues. We're dealing with having to be, Superman, both at home sometimes and also and out there in the world. And there's no safe space where we can really talk about our feelings. And it's difficult to even, be upfront and talk to somebody because we don't see a lot of Black men talking openly about their mental health. There's a lack of, Black or minority therapists. Sometimes it's difficult to talk to people about your issues. And when I see that, somebody who was smiling, laughing, and, they were always in a good mood, when you see somebody like that is taking their own life, in a way, it doesn't surprise me because there's so many things that we're dealing with as Black men that we may never talk to somebody about. And until we have that safe space and until we can be comfortable putting a name on our issues, sometimes we'll struggle, but we'll say things like, my nerves are bad, or, I don't feel like myself today. But if we can put a term to it, like depression and or anxiety, we can get the life-saving help that we really need.
Yeah, there's a lot of layers to this, and there's a stigma around mental health sometimes. We still have a long way to go, but is the stigma improving? Are more people opening up regardless of the situation?
I do think it's improving. I hope it's improving fast enough, but it's improving. I'm looking online and I'm seeing people, share their stories and they're able to talk about the most embarrassing parts of their journey. A lot of times people struggle to even open up about a diagnosis. And, through my work online, I've had main messages from people who have, DM'd me to say things like, oh, I have bipolar disorder and, I've never talked to anybody about it, or I struggle with anxiety and I can't leave my house. Or a lot of times with males, and you also see this with Black men, sometimes will resort to substances to help us feel better because it's easier and it's also cheaper, to go buy some alcohol or to smoke. As opposed to talking to somebody. So just seeing people talk about their struggles, it lets us know that we're not alone. And that way we can move towards healthier ways of coping with our mental health.
Yeah, it's nice to know that people are opening up to you and really allowing themselves to be vulnerable with you. Now, people often say they support those who are struggling with their mental health, but, when they are personally faced with someone who is struggling, someone they know, someone they love, they may not be as supportive. What should those people keep in mind, especially faced with someone who might not have voiced mental concerns before?
Yeah, I think it's important that we don't have to shy away from the conversation. It can be difficult. I mean, like I know within the office, when I talk about suicide, it's like another question. Like I'm used to asking a patient, have you had any suicidal thoughts or thoughts of not wanting to be here? But within, our everyday, day-to-day life. It's difficult to have those conversations. So I think just being brave and being the one to open up and say, hey, if you have any thoughts of, maybe hurting yourself or not wanting to be here, you can talk to me. And a lot of times people think that, will put the idea of, suicide in somebody's head, but normally that will make them feel at ease if they are struggling with those issues. So it can be difficult when you have to, be the person to do something, because it's one thing to make a post online and say, let's, talk about mental health. But it's another thing when you're faced with the decision of, what do I do? How do I help a struggling friend? And I think just by being there for them, a struggling friend can sense when, you have their back and you want to help them out, even if you don't have the words or the resources to help them out at the moment. You're committed to helping them out and you're moving in the right direction with them. So believe it or not, any bit of help goes a long way.
Yeah, they can really sense when you're open to listening to what they're going through. What would you say to anyone who is struggling right now to get the help that they need?
What I would say is, it may be embarrassing, to talk about, your past or the things that you're struggling with, but I promise you that there's somebody out there who is struggling with the same things, or somebody who's been through similar things. And that by opening up your mouth and to talking to, a professional or even to a close friend, whatever assistance you can get, it can be life-saving. And, people want you here. There's a lot of people who are excited that you're here. And because you're here, the world's a better place. So there's no shame in having, any type of, suicidal thoughts. A lot of people deal with those thoughts on a daily basis, but just know that if you're fighting and you're doing your best to stick around, that a lot of people are proud of you, and we'd rather struggle with you than to have to read about any unfortunate news.
Yeah, I think that's very well said. Dr. Sarfo, thank you so much for sharing your insight and, really encouraging people to be brave and to be vulnerable when they're struggling.
I appreciate you, Irene. Thank you.